This is James Ferris, editor of the Madison Business Review, and I'm talking with Bryce Roth, Madison Business Review contributor. How are you, Bryce?
I'm doing well, James. How are you?
I cannot complain at all. It's been a good week, quick week, and it seems like April and May both flew by. Maybe it's with quarantine, but they just seem to have flown by for me. So I have been monitoring the markets, and we're seeing some conflicting signs and some uncertainty, which is nothing new. And in recent days, there have been tensions that have ramped back up between the United States and China. So, Bryce, we've seen a lot of issues between the U.S. and China in the past few years, especially with President Donald Trump taking on President Xi Jinping. What would you say the main issues are now between the U.S. and China, and how have they kind of evolved over time?
Yeah, so the main issue I see between U.S. and China now is really the credibility of China and its companies. That I've seen with auditing of Chinese companies by U.S. Recently with Robert O'Brien talking about how China covered up information about the coronavirus. And even back in August last year when Trump accused China of currency manipulation, those are things that are really going on right now. They seem to be consistent throughout the past year.
Sure. And of course, with the breakout of the novel coronavirus, there have been people, especially people on the right, that have liked to put that blame on China, saying they're largely at fault. There have been rumors that it was created in a lab that haven't been substantiated so far. But people on both sides of the aisle are frustrated with China, whether the virus is their fault, whether they could have done more. But there are definitely bipartisan tensions ramping up. And so with that being said, these tensions are rising. There's no doubt about that. But the question is that a good thing for the United States? So Bryce, my question to you is the United States, led by Trump, smart to take on China right now, especially given all the uncertainty we're seeing in the global economy?
Yeah, that's a good question. So in my humble opinion, I would say that right now is not the best time. I feel like we should focus on ourselves, the economy, and controlling the spread of the coronavirus first. But that's just my opinion at the end of the day.
Right. I mean, we're seeing the entire global economy shrink, according to GDP. And I think it is a very dangerous time for the United States and China. And while the outbreak started in China, and so their economy is a few months ahead of ours, or their country's a few months ahead of ours in terms of revival and getting over the virus, so it would seem, I think it would be, certainly perilous potentially for both countries, especially the United States, given that we are yet to fully see strong recovery in all parts of the country. So that's very interesting to watch, and there will be widespread ramifications for that. In other news, we've seen companies like Moderna and some others. This week, the spotlight was on Novavax in terms of a COVID-19 vaccine. And so, Bryce, I'd love to know what's the latest news with the coronavirus vaccine?
Yeah, so, like you said, there has been a number of companies claiming to have a vaccine to cure the coronavirus. And, their stock price has done well accordingly. And it seems like a good amount of these companies have started phase one and will start making steady progress towards finding a cure. However, as far as my knowledge, there's no cure as of right now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's what investors are hoping for, is a treatment can help people who are affected, but a vaccine that can prevent people from getting COVID-19, which is caused by the novel coronavirus, that would really be the key to potentially some industries like airlines, cruise ships, entertainment, where people would be potentially skeptical of going back out into the real world and fully immersing themselves as they did before without that vaccine. So I do think that's critical for investors and for Americans' confidence going forward. So my final question, Bryce, is where is the stock market headed? I mean, if you knew, you'd not only be a genius, but a billionaire. But unfortunately, there's not a lot of certainty right now. So my question is, where do you see the stock market headed from here, and what would you say are some of the better sectors to be in going forward?
Yeah, so as long as we don't hit a second wave of infection, I believe we'll be in a good spot. Kind of, back up my logic behind that is, as Jerome Powell stated, there's nothing wrong financially with our economy, just mainly due to the coronavirus, and that's why we're in the situation we're currently in.
Right.
And as far as the best sectors to be in, of course, based off of performance right now would be healthcare and tech. I mean, they've done well as of late, and they've been doing well.
Right. So taking a look at the market performance this week, the tech-heavy NASDAQ composite, tech, of course, has been on a tear this year. The NASDAQ is up 3% year-to-date, roughly, as of Thursday's close, and it has drastically outperformed the S&P 500, which is a good indicator of the whole economy. That's down 7%. The Dow, which measures the largest companies, is down about 12%. But in the past week, the NASDAQ has underperformed both the S&P 500 and the Dow. So do you think the NASDAQ and large cap tech has kind of run its course and that small caps might better perform from here? Do you have any opinion on that, or do you think tech is still the place to be for investors?
Yeah, I would say tech is still the place to be. I believe it has a bright future. And I guess the current situation we're in right now is the smaller cap companies doing well and tech not doing so well as of this week. But I think that might be a good thing,
I think so too. I think a lot of people have rightly noted that the small cap companies, that's a better indication of America than per se the large cap tech, like, your Apple, Amazon, Facebook, Google, your Microsofts, companies like that. So I definitely think that's good analysis, where if small caps can pick back up and regain some ground, that might be a bullish sign for the economy as a whole. And that's going to wrap it up. Thank you, Bryce, for joining me. And that is the conclusion of market commentary this week. Be sure to check out Bryce's full recap at breezejmu.org/business. See you next week.